resilience is the ability of an entity, an organization, a community to absorb a shock to its system, meaning the way that it operates, and its ability to absorb it and then return back to its normal level of function. So what you see here on this chart is how we measure or how we assess resilience academically, right? So you can see the resilience level on the x-axis and the time on the y-axis. So in the first line, you see normal conditions. That means your community is functioning optimally, right? The best that it's going to do at that point in time. The kids are getting to school, the roads are clear, everybody's going to work, there's food, there's water, everyone has what they need at a level. Not perfect, but it's functioning. Then something happens. There is a mass shooting. There is a hurricane. There is a flood. There's a tornado. There's a power outage. There's a drought. Something has happened to cause adversity or a shock to the system, and your functionality starts to deteriorate. All right, so y'all could imagine what that's like. It's a flood, people can't get to school, hospitals are backed up, people can't get to work. It's a windstorm, it's a tornado. We have now taken that impact. More resilient communities are going to be able to absorb more of a blow. All right, social capital is a critical factor in how much your community can absorb, and I'll explain why in a second. But not just absorb, the second phase of being a resilient community is how do you adapt, right? Monroe Street, Adams Street here in Tallahassee are flooded out. Streets are washed out. How do we now route children to get to school? I think one time we had Dobby High School a couple years ago was flooded during one of our storms. We had to the idea they were coming up with was, how do we get the school back online? Where do we send the youth in the meantime? We can't let them fall too far behind, or that's going to have a cumulative impact on the community. So do we build bungalows so that they can go to a different building? Do we distribute those kids to other schools? That's the type of adaptation that the organization has to decide. All right. Now, if you have people who trust each other, they could work together, they have communication, they have social cohesion, making those adaptation decisions are a lot easier. But if you don't have that in place, it becomes a more arduous process. So adaptation is critical. But now, after you adapt, that's just temporary, and you don't want to just get back to a survival level of resilience, because guess what? It's another adversity sitting out here waiting for you. So we call this your transformative capacity. After you adapt, after you make the changes to adjust to the new circumstances that you're facing, how do you transform your community so that it's even stronger, it gets above its previous level of condition or of functionality, so that when you're impacted, you could absorb more, you could adapt faster. So these are the different stages of resilience, and you could apply them and you've experienced them before. You could just think about in your family when something happened, it's like the phones are down. What kind of adaptation did y'all have to make so that y'all could communicate? All right. And then after that, did you say next time the phones are down, we just won't communicate? Or do you have a new plan in place to adjust? And that's just a microcosm of resilience right there. But this is something I talk heavily about in the book, and I'm trying to show different strategies on how we make our communities more resilient.
I'm on mute. Happy Saturday, happy Saturday, happy Saturday. Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. I am Joseph Ward, and as promised, I got a good one for you today. I got a good show, a good live, a great interview, because I have the brother, Dr. Bruce Strouble Jr. on the podcast today. And we're getting into a topic that we really don't talk about, like, at all. And I don't know why, because, we talk about racism, white supremacy, and how it affects us. And I do have to give a shout out to my co-host Patrick Irvin, because he's the only other person that I actually hear talking about this topic. But we're talking about environmental racism, environmental injustice, like how our environment is impacted negatively by the system of white supremacy. We tend to only focus on the people, but not necessarily what's happening around us. And that's what this total show is dedicated to. So I'm happy to have my brother on. But of course, I have to introduce him properly. So Dr. Bruce W. Stroble Jr. is an environmental justice activist and anti-racism practitioner who was raised in Altadena, California, where he first witnessed the impact of racial inequality and pollution on Black Americans. He later moved to Tallahassee, Florida, to attend Florida A&M University, shout out FAMU, after earning his bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees. He started his work as an educator while also taking on the challenge of designing policies and programs to assist vulnerable communities in adapting to a warming planet. Throughout his career, Dr. Stroble has led climate resilience efforts at Groundwork USA and developed community programs for the city of Tallahassee and Florida A&M University's Sustainability Institute. He has experimented with innovative approaches to support neighborhoods facing historical divestment and climate changes. Along the way, Dr. Stroble has directed multi-million-dollar revitalization efforts in partnership with local leaders nationwide, rebuilding urban neighborhoods and strengthening community-based leadership. While serving on Leon County's Affordable Housing Advisory Council and the City of Tallahassee's Charter Review Committee, Dr. Stroble discovered that fair representation can transform entire neighborhoods from within. Motivated by that insight, he continues bridging community activism and policy as a member of the Moving Forward Network Advisory Council and the Capital City Chamber of Commerce. As a senior fellow with the Environmental Leadership Program and the Institute for the Polarities of Democracy, he builds alliances that highlight the real power of local voices and strategic leadership. Today, as Executive Director of Citizens for Sustainable Futures Incorporated and President of Rethink Energy Florida, he works closely with community members to create anti-racist climate solutions that benefit underserved communities and advance democracy and environmental justice. And we're also here to talk about this new book, great book, By Any Dreams Necessary. Y'all already know how we do. You know, we promote over here. So we are going to talk about Any Dreams Necessary. In this book, Any Dreams Necessary, By Any Dreams Necessary, By Any Dreams Necessary, Dr. Stroble shares how these experiences shaped his belief that African-American communities can overcome historical barriers through strategic action, solidarity, and courage to dream for a sustainable future. And without further ado, my brother, Dr. Bruce Strouble Jr. How you doing today, my brother?
I'm great, my brother. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, man. I was sitting there looking like, oh man, I did all that.
yeah, you did. You did. But see, I wanted to read that because these last couple of weeks, we've really been on the kick of highlighting and celebrating people who are actually doing real things in our community and making real change, boots on the ground. And you've been doing that for a while. So first and foremost, I want to give you your flowers.
I appreciate that, brother.
For all that you've done, not just in this Tallahassee community, but nationwide, all the work and all the effort that you've put in to help spread the message of environmental racism and fighting for environmental justice, but not just talking about it, but doing the work to help make a change and also helping coming up with strategies for us to move forward and build, like you say, a sustainable future for our communities. So thank you and welcome.
I appreciate that, brother. I always say whenever people thank me, I always like to say I'm just paying it forward because I'm doing it, just trying to continue the work that was done by my OGs in the environmental justice movement. And if I just shout out a couple people, I'm talking about Dr. Bob Bullard and Dr. Beverly Wright, of course, Dr. Mildred McLean in Savannah at the Harambe House and that team up there, my sister Kim Gaddy up in New Jersey, keeping the fight alive, and my brother Juan Parras out in Texas with TEJAS, the Texas Environmental Justice Advisory Services. So I've been fortunate to be brought up under a long line of environmental justice activists who kind of pointed me in the right direction and helped me identify these issues and connect them to our community. So that's what I've been on, man.
Ah, man, appreciate you, man. And it's been a journey getting to where you are now. So yes, kind of want to learn a little bit about that, but read your bio, but who is Bruce Stroble, though?
Man,
how did you become the man you are today, and what led you to the work that you are doing?
It's crazy, right? Like, like you hear, I grew up in Altadena, California. It was a suburban Black community outside of Los Angeles, and growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, we had, all the traditional challenges that Black communities were facing. We were under pressure of gentrification in the community. We had Black on Black just the trauma surfacing in the community. So it was causing a lot of Black on Black conflicts with the gangs in the community. And I was fortunate to have my father and mother, both Howard alum, kind of trying to steer me in the right direction. And I had a strong family around me, and they built family values. And they also built up this idea that we are people who serve and protect our community, and we didn't seek to destroy it. So when I took that information in the education I got and took it to FAMU, and that's when I was under the tutelage of Dr. Dana Denard and Dr. David Jackson and Dr. Hemingway, rest in peace. And I was getting those reinforced messages. A lot of the seeds that my planet's parent were now getting fully watered at FAMU, and it was like, we know it's a problem in our communities, but Dr. Denard and Dr. Jackson was showing us what caused this problem. Like, how did we get in this situation? And then as I started to let that unfold and unpack, and I was like, okay, this isn't just how Black people are. This is something that's been done to us, and we have to respond to it. We can't expect nobody to respond to it. So with my brother Goliath Davis and Dr. Nzinga Metzger and my brother-in-law Mutor Flood, we were having a lot of strategy sessions, and we kind of came up with this idea that we needed to look at ways to make sustainable changes in Black communities. And as I dove into that topic of sustainability and what would make it so that Black communities could last, that's where we were introduced to these challenges in the environment that we eventually discovered were the root problems of a lot of the issues that we're facing in Black America. And I couldn't believe, with all the studying and reading and activism I had done, I couldn't believe that this had slipped past me. I was completely unaware of it. Right. And to learn that, it kind of just, I jumped into it with both feet. And when I joined Moving Forward Network, and I was working with Dr. Mildred McLean, Angela Logan, Mustafa Ali, just other people who was in that movement. And I was seeing how they had decades of dedication and service. And I just learned so much from them that I was showing up at everything, every meeting, every rally. I was out there. I was with the Dream Defenders when they took the Capitol here in Tallahassee. Anytime there was something going on, I wanted to be involved. And that allowed me to learn from a lot of great leaders and actors, even Philip Agnew when he was down here in Florida, seeing different people in action. And I just, that's where I did my research on how is all this working. And that's what my dissertation turned into, what makes Black communities tick, what makes Black communities function and be able to stay together. And that all materialized into my book, By Any Dreams Necessary. And that it also is my story of, like, this is the work I've been doing. As I've been doing more research and getting every job position I was taking was somehow leading me in that direction. Right. So, of course, it's always more complex than that. I got my wife to thank for always supporting it. My children for always being in my corner. My mother and father. So I'm just a community. I'm a result of community efforts pointing me in this direction.
Right. That village came together. No, but such a productive village, though, because the people that you named are people that I have great respect for, because you can actually see the fruits of their labor. It's not just talk. And so shout out to you and everybody your whole village who have helped you and all of you to doing great things. I saw I think on Facebook, Mutor is he just got a position, a promotion at Bethune-Cookman.
Bethune-Cookman, yes, sir. I was just talking to him. He's the chair of the psychology department. So
so congratulations.
Psychology is where a lot of our warriors is. So the psychologists always got me right, and they always keep you in check when we be veering away from mission. They be like, bro, you veering away from that idea of what Black masculinity or Black people is supposed to look like.
Right.
So I always appreciate my Black psychologists out there.
Exactly. So real quick, I want to give a shout out to my people in the chat. Hi, what's up, Fair Use? Thank y'all for tuning in. Raw Vital, Veda Girl, Veggie Girl, greetings to you as well. Nemesis X, you already know what it is. Peace to you, my brother. And Michael Lewis, he says, wow, I was just thinking about this after looking at what happened to Altadena, California.
Exactly.
So let's get into it. So let's start with the basics. What is environmental racism? And how does it affect us? What should we be looking for? Because we really don't know.
Okay, let's jump into it. All right, environmental racism is the disparate or the disproportionate exposure to environmental benefits and environmental burdens based on your race. So what we found is that throughout history, since there was imperialism and colonialism in Africa and Asia and in the Americas, white people were able to reap the benefits from the environment, right? So they could get all the resources out, they could trade them and set up their economies, and they could profit. Everybody else got left with the burdens of the environment. So when they cut down all those trees, when they drained diverted water supplies and had people living in certain areas, when they polluted water, when they planted so much cotton that it stripped the soil of all this nitrogen, that made it harder for people to eat. That made it harder for people to live. When you think about the story of white men riding on train cars shooting buffalo, for example,
yes,
and that causes the ecological and systemic breakdown for Native American groups in the plains areas, right? So that's a microcosm of it. But when you think about Black people having to habitate the worst arable land in certain areas, or being forced to live in certain communities where they don't have the necessary environmental resources that they need to survive, that puts them at problems. So then you go a little bit further, you think about something like redlining, and I think everybody's familiar with that. Well, what I always show people is that if you look at communities that were redlined in the 1930s and 40s, and you look at them today, the same racial demographics are still in those communities. You'll still find their majority Black and Latinx and so forth, but those are also the communities that have the highest source of pollution, whether that's nitrous oxide or particulate matter. These are elements, or emissions as we call them, that cause COPD, they cause asthma, they cause cancer and so forth. So then you start looking at, well, who's most likely to be impacted by those elements? And you start looking, and it's in those same communities. And also another factor of it, so people are already sick, they're already overexposed to toxic chemicals in Black and brown communities, but then we see there's a lack of tree canopy in our communities. There's a lack of impervious surfaces, so that we have what we refer to as urban heat islands. So Black communities generally will be 5 to 7 degrees hotter on the hottest days of the year than you're going to find in better developed, better urbanly designed communities. So we just have like these cumulative impacts of all these effects. And again, it contributes to where it's more expensive to be Black in a Black community. You're more likely to get sick. Dr. Bullard and Dr. Beverly Wright do a lot of talk about these issues of what we refer to as Cancer Alley. It's this stretch all the way down the 10 freeway corridor where it's just toxic petrochemical plants right next to people's houses, polluting the water. And the people are having cancer rates that are out of this world. And the corporations there are just like, oh yeah, we don't know what's making these people sick. Despite all the scientists coming forward saying, hey, the stuff you're putting in the air, the stuff you're dumping in the water is literally killing people. And the government continually protects them. And we go and we fight and we protest, we get petitions, and they just continuously make excuses for decades. So that's what we call environmental racism. It's that disparate impact. Some people get to reap the benefits of the environment. They have beautiful places to live. They have green spaces. They have tree canopy. Other people are living in just cement, concrete jungles that are blazing hot, full of emissions. They have train cars, freeways going right through them, letting off all kinds of emissions. They live close to ports where all the goods that everyone uses, from anything you use to comb your hair, to the food that you're eating, the devices that you're using, is being shipped through those ports, but it's coming on vessels that are polluting the areas. And that's generally where your lower income Black and brown people live. And they're overexposed. They're getting sick. People are dying. The estimated numbers around the planet are in the millions of people who are dying annually. And everyone's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's nothing to see here. Then the last factor that makes it all that much more worse and severe, the climate is changing. It's getting hotter as we already live in hotter communities. So the sea level is rising in communities that don't have the ability to be flexible and move away. So what's going to happen to all those people when we already have a housing crisis and we can only expect it to get worse, and people aren't planning for that? So it's a complicated thing, but at the end of the day, when you hear me talk about, or anyone talk about environmental racism, we're saying Black, brown, non-white people are being more exposed to environmental toxins than other people who are producing environmental toxins, and they won't let us restrict them. They won't let us stop them. They say it's their corporate freedom to keep polluting us.
That makes me think about the complex that Elon have in Memphis, somewhere in Memphis, that's doing all that. And like everybody knows that it's happening, but because the pockets are being greased, it's just like, okay, and it's a disposable population. That's what it looks like. And that's messed up, that they really look at us, but we've been trying to tell people for the longest that's how they see us, as a disposable population.
You got it. So they call them sacrifice zones, throwaway people. And it's just when a lot of times people go out and they're like, oh, I don't see any racism, and they're looking for like a police officer to pull them over and call them the N-word, you know. And I'm like, you know, that kind of racism it still happens, but that's outdated. But if you want to see racism, go look at a community and be like, why? This is the same county government, the same city government. How can you go down this street right here and you could tell that poor and black people live here? Where are the trees at? How come you got all these toxic facilities over here that are polluting this community? Like it's clear as day racism. And I think it's easier to point out, but it's been hard for us to get this message out and let all our people know what's going on. And now in certain areas, we're not allowed to, basically with the actions of the state, with the federal government and Florida and Georgia, we're not even allowed to talk about it no more. They're trying to stop us from even saying the words. We can't get grant funding if our program say environmental racism.
Right. Like that's you're so correct. So we've on this channel, we've tried our best to educate those who already don't know about because we call it the refinement of white supremacy, the refinement of racism over time. It is not supposed to, in 2025, be that overwhelming presence of white people doing what they did in the 60s, 50s, 40s, and 30s. You're going to have your one-offs because some people still live by that way. But for the most part, we're going to work covertly. And we're going to get even your own community members to work against you.
Exactly.
But, okay, so you also you wrote this book because you talk about anti-racist strategies.
Yes.
And that's what I want to get into, some of these strategies. So what are some strategies that you've come up with that we can use to help fight back against what we're dealing with?
Okay, so it's a litany of strategies that I identify, but ultimately the overall theme is that through first collective action that we have to be willing to put aside differences and find similarities in our community.
Right.
So I'm calling for Black people we need greater solidarity in our community.
Right.
It's going to require us to stand together and show up for each other. The same way everybody, when we saw what happened to George Floyd, we all wanted to respond. We saw what happened to Tamir Rice. We all wanted to respond. Well, I'm here to tell y'all that's happening to Black children in New Jersey. It's happening to Black children in Houston. It's happening to the kids in South Los Angeles and Spa 6 and Spa 7. It's happening in Oakland's Bay Area every day. It's just chemical weapons are being used on the children, and we are not standing in solidarity about it. So again, that first step is that we need solidarity and collective action. So then I have a lot of different ideas for programs that I promote, whether that be for collective political action, and that is where people are actually coming together in nonpartisan fashions to identify candidates for office, policies that uplift their community based off what their community's specific needs are, right? So it's not as simple as like let's all get together and vote for the Democrat. We have to be more politically mature, as Brother Malcolm X would say, and we have to say, let's all get together and vote for the candidates that best represent our issues.
Yes.
And, some of my OG Democrat people, they get a little iffy about that because they still feel that need to hold tight to the party. And I'm saying we don't have to break away from the party, but the party has to come to us and say, this is what we're offering to your community. And I think Democrats are more likely in many cases to do that than the other side, but we have to make sure that they do it. So definitely reorganization politically from what is needed in our communities. And that requires getting in league with our HBCUs and our Black academics and researchers and urban planners to come to our communities and do their research there, but in a way that serves our communities. We need not extractive research from our academics to come and do surveys and then they leave, publish, and we never hear from them again. We want community participatory research where they come in and work as a partner with the community to identify solutions and identify the trends and statistics so that we can take that and make our case. Now, challenge I'm having, Joseph, and I hope the community comes to me with this, because the next edition of my book, there will be changes. When I was writing this book, it was under the understanding that we still had the semblance, the government that was attempting to be democratic, or at least making the appearance of being a democracy. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. So some of my strategies do have to make, I've written a lot of it at local levels, and the stuff I wrote at the federal level was assuming that whoever was in office wanted to get reelected, but I don't even know
Right.
if they're interested in elections anymore.
Right.
So that requires some changes in approaches. But the way I've written it, everything is flexible and it's adaptable to
Okay.
your own local surroundings. So there's
Good.
no one size fits all solution for anything. It's like if y'all have water issues, if y'all have green space issues in your community, I'm identifying this is what I've seen people doing in their communities to address this. Then, of course, there's collective economic solutions, as we learned from Dr. Claude Anderson and
Yep.
Power Economics, and I'm promoting a lot of those same ideas.
Yep.
Dr. Jessica Nimhart, she wrote this great book called Collective Courage. So I was really inspired by her work to look at how we could put in cooperatives and mutual aid back into our communities. And people are already doing it. So I just start to highlight what I see people doing. And then in my 9th chapter, in the last section, I talk about the potential and how we need to start investigating if we need to get out of here. Not saying that we do, but I try to build a framework of how you evaluate your community to see if it's time for a strategic relocation collectively.
Right.
Like this is we have to declare this area is lost. Black people are not safe here. We may need to move somewhere else.
Right.
And
right.
then, Charles Blow had the argument that we all need to consolidate in the South.
Right.
I analyze that argument, and while I see the merit in it, I'm laying out some in the book. I'm laying it out that in order for that to work, this is what we would need to have in place.
Right.
And then you got the people who want to repatriate back to the continent, back to the motherland. Same situation.
Yes.
We can't just do it. It has to be organized. So
yes,
that's where I'm at in the book, and I'm hoping people check it out.
Man, hey, they better check it out. Look, this is what we've been talking. Look, this is what we've been talking about ad nauseam on this channel, man. Check out the book By Any Dreams Necessary, because we have to be strategic and realistic about what we're doing here and what we're trying to do. We can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to go to Africa because white supremacy is bad in America. Well, exactly. I mean, so you think everything is just all good in Africa? So Africa just not in turmoil because of white supremacy?
Exactly.
If there's no strategy about anything that we're doing, we can't really truly save ourselves. But also going back to the unity, like, that's why I'm against these diaspora wars. I'm against all of this craziness that we got going on in our community. And I'm for separating ourselves from those who are not about the true solidarity amongst the Black diaspora, the African diaspora. Because we need it all. But the strategies, that's the main thing of how. Because a lot of times we just going off of emotions and we don't have a how. So I'm glad that you have a how for us to make sure that we can get to where we need to go.
Exactly.
Real quick, I want to say thank you to DSB for becoming a new member, and DFB gifted 5 channel memberships. I'm an old man. I got to figure out how to get them out, but we don't work through that. But that's how we doing it. But affirm, create, enjoy. Thank you all. I'm glad y'all tuning in. I'm glad y'all listening to the brother, because we need to make sure that we support his platform. We support everything that has going on. Go ahead.
No, like, you see the colors on the book, it's red, black, and green. I support the Pan-Africanist movement, and I'm trying to build bridges, and it's hard because a lot of our brothers who are in the who have adopted the, I guess we would say, the Otto's FBA approach to Black American isolationism. I understand some of the argument, but I think it's short-sighted, and I think it's myopic in the sense that they're not looking at the bigger picture, and that they're isolating us to where they're only trying to hold on to our slave experiences, our full definition. And I think we're so much more than that, and it's so much more in the Black experience than that. And I think it's okay for us to have regional and ethnic identities, but I mean, as long as we're still able to connect that to the collective. So I'm also with you against the diaspora wars, and I think it's something we should be looking to build bridges and not paint ourselves in the corners.
Yeah, because I mean, we between myself, my two co-hosts, Patrick Irvin, Professor Carlton Jones, I'm kind of like in the middle, but we all kind of have a collective idea of, I believe Pan-Africanism is the ultimate thing that we should be working towards, like a whole total collective diaspora. But I also believe every nation of Black people need to make sure that they're their best. And so within the nation, we need to be collective people. Black America needs to be strong. right? And we need to be on one page. And then once we're strong, that will make the link in the chain stronger. We don't want to be the weak link in the chain, but we want the total chain to be strong. Therefore, we can fight a global system of white supremacy rather than looking at it from one standpoint. So that's why ideas and books like these need to be read, need to be in everybody's hands, need to be used. So make sure you get your copy. So what's your website?
Okay, it is BruceStroubleJr.com. You see my name there, so it's just Bruce Strouble Jr. all one .com, and then you also could just go to byanyDreamsNecessary.com as well, and it'll take you right to the book order form. So yeah, and it's available on every platform. But I just let y'all know, if y'all want to support an author, go directly to them, because these platforms be killing this out here, man. They tax it. So yeah, BruceStroubleJr.com. If you need to, it's available on all the major platforms. You could go on my TikTok shop. You could go Amazon, Goodreads. It's available ebook, audiobook as well. So however you read your books or information, you could get it. So I appreciate anybody who wants to support, and anybody, if you need, I'm always looking to come and do organizing support and workshops. So you can always find all that information, how to book me, on the website as well.
So also I want to give a big shout out to you and the work that you and Camille Lewis did, especially this summer with the summer camp. If you all didn't know, Bruce was a part of summer camp. Was it a STEM summer camp?
Brilliant Resilience Youth Empowerment. We got summer camp and Saturday school. But, So and I appreciate you all for allowing me to come in and share my historical information with the students. That was great. But I want to highlight that. And just what you are doing, what you're continuing to do, what you all have is real, authentic, boots on the ground things. And our community is better for it. Tallahassee is better for it. We want to make sure we're supporting things like this. When we talk about the environment, when we talk about setting our kids up, right? About 2 weeks ago, I interviewed a brother, Q Butter. He's a brother out of New York. He has the Ziax Institute. It's a STEM-based school. Okay.
And he talked about using STEM in gardening and stuff, and being able to get into the smart gardens and all those things there. But when he talked about his school, I thought about what you and Camille had going on. And so I'm saying this here because I want to make sure I do it, but I want to connect you two together. I want to connect you and you, Camille, and Q Butter together, so you all can possibly get some of your ideas. Because one of the things when I'm thinking about like strategies and moving forward for our community, but long term, is if we don't prepare the children to be able to actually build infrastructure and maintain things, then what are we doing? Especially in the environment around us. If we don't prepare them to take care of the environment around us, then what are we doing? So I want to make sure I connect you with them so the kids can have access to a little more information with that.
I would love that. Please make that connection, brother. I think education has to be at the center and forefront of everything that we're doing. Right. And we see the war on education right now, especially here. We're on the front lines in Florida. So it looks like what is the slow death of our public education system. And I love and strongly believe in public education. But unfortunately, as we are not empowered to make the decisions of how education will be funded, we have to make adjustments, y'all. And that's uncomfortable. But ultimately, we may have to find ways to educate our own students. So with Camille and Dr. Standifer, they kind of originated this idea. Dr. Derek Standifer, it started off with his Life was Like a Rubik's Cube program. And then seeing that, and I had an idea as well, we merged rather than creating competing programs. And what we did is we launched Brilliant Resilience. And the idea was that everything the students aren't getting enough of or getting at all in the public school system or in any school system, we wanted to supplement that. So we let them, they go to public schools, we support public schools, but then we pull them out. And we have a great partnership with Leon County Schools, with the Children's Services Commission as well. But we're pulling them out and we're making sure that they get that. We bringing in Joseph Ward to teach African-American history. We're bringing in Gian Jones to teach different wellness techniques and meditation and mindfulness and yoga and things of that nature. We're taking them to the different farms in the area. We're taking them out in the environment so that they recognize, like, it's not, when we talk about the environment, it's not something abstract. It's right there. You are a part of this environment. These are your trees. This is your water supply. So it's
Right.
not when they see it on the news that the water's being polluted, they're like, hey, we need this water. Because I think a lot of times why we don't talk about it, people don't feel connected to it. And that was done intentionally by the corporatists who wanted to pollute these supplies and take them and sell them back to us. So when people realize we could grow our own food, we could purify and protect our own water, we need this air to breathe so that we could be strong and the future generations could be strong, then I think when they recognize that, they'll be more able and capable of defending it.
There you go. Now, and once again, like I appreciate that you all exist, and I just want to reiterate, every name that he's named is a part of this collective, productive village that germinated here, especially on FAMU campus, but a group of people who decided to actually work together and do our best to make our community better, and we're part of this collective group of people. So and of course we stand on the shoulders of our elders, people like you said, like Dr. Denard and those who came before him, who laid the groundwork for us. But thank you to the village. Thank you to everybody who's making sure that we do have a future, because like Nemesis X said, it's not cultural if it's not passed on to future generations.
Sure.
So pouring into the future generations, man. So I know you got a short amount of time and I know you got to run, but once again, tell people how to get in contact with you, tell the people your website and everything.
All right. So again, everybody, BruceStroubleJr.com. The email is info@BruceStroubleJr.com. I'm available for all types of bookings. I do consulting work, anything that y'all need with your organization. If you want to talk about the book in more detail with your community and see how we can start activating some of those plans, I'm all for it, man. Just get at me and let's get to work, man. It is work to be done, y'all. It's not the time to be sitting around arguing and being divisive. We have to start finding ways to come together, because one of the primary themes in this book is that if we are not intentional, if we're not really saying, like, what are we going to do to make sure that future generations of Black people survive, it's not guaranteed. And I think for a long time, people just thought, all we have to do is pray, or all we have to do is hope. And it takes more than that. The faith without works is dead. We got to put the work in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Once again, let me know whatever you need from me, how I can support anything that you have going on. Because
we got to get you to the Saturday camp to do some more of them lessons from on the Shoulders of Giants. So,
well, let's do it, man. Let's do it. And once you're welcome to the platform anytime you need any information or messages you need to get out. Just let me know, and you're always welcome here, my brother.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right, man. You have a great Saturday, and I'll see you later, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. My brother Bruce Strouble Jr. Y'all give him a round of applause and all the things there for the great work that they're doing in the community. Once again, check out the book, By Any Dreams Necessary. And let me read this. By Any Dreams Necessary, Anti-Racist Strategies for Sustainability, Resilience, and Environmental Justice in African American Communities by Dr. Bruce Strouble Jr. is a transformative and strategic guide aimed at empowering African American communities to overcome systematic challenges and build sustainable, resilient futures. It blends historical analysis, academic research, and practical case studies to offer a roadmap for dismantling environmental injustice, economic inequalities, and political disenfranchisement. The book highlights key areas such as economic empowerment and entrepreneurship, supporting Black-owned businesses, narrowing the wealth gap, and enhancing access to capital and mentorship, health and wellness, tackling disparities and improving access to quality healthcare, environmental justice, addressing environmental racism, ensuring equitable access to clean air, water, and green spaces, and advancing participation in the green economy, political engagement, boosting voter turnout, and enabling meaningful policy influence, cultural preservation, honoring African American heritage as a source of community, resilience, and pride. Crucially, the book is structured around SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, and offer bold anti-racist policy recommendations to catalyze systemic change. So make sure you go to his website and get your copy of the book. And once again, I want to give a big shout out to DSB for becoming a member, and also gifting five memberships. I got to figure out how to make sure other people get those memberships. I'm a little old, so y'all let me know, man. I don't really know what I'm doing to make sure that I get the memberships. I help me out. I'm old, so y'all help me out. But y'all make sure y'all go and the um check out the website. Once again, let me put it back up. Check out the website because the brother is doing great work in the community. So check him out. Make sure I get to my comments. Affirm, create, enjoy. Thank you for tuning in. My man, Edwin Bennett, E-double-D. Hey man, ain't nobody called me old man Joe in a minute. So I want to give a shout out to Eddie. That's one of my longtime homeboys. We've been down since high school. Eddie is an entertainer, an international entertainer, black brother who took his talents international and is in Asia actually entertaining people as a dancer in Asia and doing all types of stuff, doing commercials. My daughter been in commercials, all types of stuff, just being amazing, man. So shout out to you, Eddie, man. You a real one, man. Shout out to you. Ricardo Float, as always, I appreciate you for being here. Affirm, create, enjoy. Thank you for being here. Nemesis X, Michael Lords, y'all already know what it is. Thank you. Affirm, create, enjoy. A lot of people are under the impression that things have to get better with the passage of time, although it is never promised to us. We have to take action to make things better for us, right? We got to make sure we make things better for us, now. And if we don't make things better for us now, we ain't got no future. You know what I'm saying? We got to have a future. We ain't got no future. You already know it. You already know. We got to have a future. So that's the setup for what I want to get into next. Because as I was preparing for this interview, I noticed that, I came across this video. It was a group of men giving their account of how they experienced environmental racism and environmental injustice via being poisoned when they were kids. And it says the U.S. experimented on humans with radioactive oatmeal and a mystery fog. And that caught my attention, like radioactive oatmeal and a mystery fog. Like, what is radioactive oatmeal and what is a mystery fog? But I actually have this video. Let me share my screen so I can get this video going. And this is what we're about to get into a little bit more. We're about to learn a little more. So we talk a little more about this environmental racism, it's environmental injustice. So let me make sure I do that. Make sure I get everything in here. Share my screen. Let me remove this. All right, so this is as you can see, Elizabeth Vargas reports. But before I do that, I forgot to say it earlier. Hold on, let me make sure y'all can see my face. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and share. When you come in here, please hit that like button, man. We are on a race for 100,000 subscribers. We just crossed 73,000 subscribers. So shout out to everybody who's been rocking with us. So cross 73,000, on our way to 100,000, actually a little close to 75,000. So I need y'all help to make sure you spread the word and tell everybody to tune into these lives, hit the like button, comment, and all those things, So let's do what we do. Hey man, you always gonna get the love, bro. You always gonna get the love, man. You out here doing your thing, man. You are doing your thing, and I'm proud of you, my brother. I love you, my brother. You my brother. You my brother, man. Definitely always gonna get the love from me, man. Always. So let's get a little further into this and learn a little more about this environmental injustice that we are dealing with here in America. And I'm not gonna act like I'm the expert, but I'm just reporting the news.
Now to a News Nation exclusive investigation into a secret government experiment that was carried out in St. Louis. Residents tell us they still remember a mysterious fog. Children would run through it. Mothers would try and close their windows against it. For decades, they all had questions, and now we're seeking answers. The United States Army now admits that it sprayed a chemical that contained cadmium, a known carcinogen, on a neighborhood of more than 10,000 people. Critics say this was done with no warning and no consent. Well, tonight we return to the site of that demolished neighborhood and speak with former residents who believe the government turned them into human test subjects. Although the Army admits that the test happened, it is not admitted to harming the residents. News Nation's Natasha Zuvez investigates what was in the fog and why the truth may still be buried.
The fog drifted through the streets like a ghost.
That's exactly what it looked like, a thick fog.
It was summertime and it was hot. We would just run through it as fast as we could and try to just cool ourselves off. It stuck to you.
The spray was so foul as far as the odor. It made some of us have headaches, nausea, dizziness.
That's what I remember. It made me sick.
It wasn't the weather. It was an eerie smoke descending from rooftops, rolling from the backs of trucks.
Regular flatbed truck, but it had a big machine on the back. And it had a big nozzle that really sprayed a fog you couldn't even see through. It was that thick, and it really, we felt it as it would adhere to our skin. And as far as the guys on top of the buildings, they tried to portray them to us as maintenance workers. But we was like, what is a maintenance worker doing? And basically a hazmat suit. And they had masks and goggles.
In the 1950s,
My bad. I'm out here struggle streaming. I done muted myself. But I want y'all to listen to what he said again, man, about this fog and this stuff. Like, listen to what they're saying. And Ricardo Float, man, I appreciate the love. If I'm a big part of this new black media, man, I got to do my thing. So I appreciate that. Yes, it's definitely a biological attack on black folk. Best environmental racism is real. Racism is real. Structural racism is real. White supremacy is real. But listen to what they're saying. Listen to how they're describing this stuff.
But it had a big machine on the back, and it had a big nozzle that really sprayed a fog you couldn't even see through. That reminds me of the supposed mosquito truck that used to come through our neighborhood, because I've always lived in the hood. The only time I didn't live in the hood is when I moved out on my own, right? But I've always lived in the hood, and that reminds me of the supposed mosquito truck who used to come through and spray the chemicals in the air once or twice during the summer to, kill the mosquitoes, as they said. But also thinking about some of the things that Dr. Stroble was talking about. I've always lived in the neighborhoods where they had the mosquito trucks come through and spray the stuff, quote unquote. I've always lived next to the railroad tracks, the plant that processes the waste, the number one and number two waste out of human bodies. That's down the street. It's a lot of chemical stuff going on in the neighborhoods. Like as Dr. Stroble was talking, I was like, damn. Those are the black neighborhoods, the black neighborhoods. But Patrick is talking about it. He talks about it a lot, about how the exposure to these chemicals and the exposure to the bad stuff is weighing on us, weighing on our intelligence, weighing on our health, our overall health. Like, we're dying early, all these different things, and even our cognitive abilities, like just the things that going on in Flint, Michigan. And other places where the lead in the water was 30 times higher than it was in Flint. But just listen to what they're saying. We all know the mosquito trucks aren't for the mosquitoes, right? Right. Exactly. Like, the mosquitoes never went away. They never went away. It was just worse. Like, you go outside after the mosquito truck and it smelled like a horrible smell, but the mosquitoes are still tearing your ass up. And if you lived in the neighborhood with the mosquito trucks, you know exactly what that smell I'm talking about. I can't really it's like an acidic, citrus, poisonous type of smell that you can't really describe, but you'll never forget that smell. But as a fern creator Joy said, the mosquitoes never went away. You go out, because we used to go out and play. Like we was, I'm born in '84. We always outside, right? And when we're outside playing, the mosquitoes are tearing our ass up in the summertime. Mosquito truck come through, mosquitoes ain't going nowhere. But listen to what these people are saying. Listen to this, how this man is describing things, and also the people who are supposed to be helping them, how they're addressed.
It was that thick, and it really, we felt it as it would adhere to our skin.
The fog. Hold on, let me back it up a bit. Let me back it up so you can catch the breath of what he's saying. Let me back it up because we don't want to mistake nothing nobody's saying. We want to catch the full of it.
Rolling from the backs of trucks.
Regular flatbed truck, but it had a big machine on the back, and it had a big nozzle that really sprayed a fog you couldn't even see through. It was that thick, and it really, we felt it as it would adhere to our skin. And as far as the guys on top of the buildings, they tried to portray them to us as maintenance workers.
Right. Listen.
But we was like, what is a maintenance worker doing? And basically a hazmat suit. And
so in this neighborhood where they're spraying this thick fog that adheres to people's skin, the fog is adhering to people's skin. The people who are posing as maintenance workers have on full hazmat suits, while the children and the people in the neighborhood are outside exposed to it. The people who are in the whole environment, whether you close your windows or you close your doors or not, all these people are exposed to this, and the supposed maintenance workers are in full hazmat suits. And the fog don't stick to your skin. Fog does not stick to your skin. I wonder what negative effects that they have now, the negative health effects that they have now because of being exposed to this fog. I still haven't gotten to the part where they're talking about the poisonous oatmeal, because that's the name of the video. U.S. experimenting on humans with radioactive oatmeal and mystery fog. Ricardo says, I lived in San Jose Police, California in the 80s and remember the marathon spraying. I never called seeing my Mediterranean flies. I was smart enough to either come up. Oh man, they spraying all type of bull, man. Malathion. I've never heard of that before. Man, ain't no telling what they spraying on us, man. Ain't no telling what has happened to us over these years, how it has affected us, like mentally, genetically, all these different things, man. Like we are under attack. PC keep telling us we at war.
And they had masks and goggles.
Listen. In the 1950s and 60s, in secret, the U.S. Army sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide into the air of a St. Louis housing project, a largely black neighborhood called Pruitt-Igoe.
It was a lose-lose situation for us in Pruitt-Igoe. We were subjects.
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
Now listen.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it.
To why.
Meet Base 44.
You got to listen to the why.
We're standing at where Pruitt-Igoe used to be here in St. Louis, and it's hard to believe more than 10,000 people used to live here. As we bring our drone up, you can see it.
And remember, they're talking about St. Louis too, an area where got a lot of black people that are seen as disposable and expendable.
It's mostly just an empty lot now,
Government
overgrown with trees. This used to be filled with 33 high-rise buildings. It was all demolished in 1976. And according to the National Research Council, St. Louis was chosen for spraying experiments because it had similar characteristics to Soviet targets like Moscow in terms of population density and terrain and proximity to a river.
That's crazy.
The government now admits to a secretive series of Cold War tests, including one dubbed large area coverage. More than 30 tests conducted across the U.S. and Canada, spraying zinc cadmium sulfide from planes, rooftops, and vehicles to simulate how a biological attack might spread.
That's probably the stuff that they were spraying in the mosquito trucks. Wow, that's wild, man. They admit to experimenting on American citizens for the Cold War, or The experiment. No, y'all exposing people. You could call it experiment. You probably was experiment, but you was also understanding that, hey, these people are disposable. And if we spray these people, then it's all good. I mean, don't nobody want them anyway. They black folk. They po folk. Who want them? That's how the government see us. They admit to it. So what's the punishment? What's the punishment for doing this bull? If we just say, yeah, we did it, we saw it, and everything is cool, it's anybody go to jail, anybody get hung, like reparations, like what happens? We just admit and it's all good and everybody just talk about it. You just give these brothers the interview and that's it. Just let people talk about it. There's no rectifying the situation. Nah, I know it ain't. What am I talking about? I know it ain't. It's nothing like that gonna happen until black people come together and become a powerhouse. But y'all make sure y'all hit that like button though. Make this channel a powerhouse. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and share if you haven't already. Make sure you turn on that notification bell because YouTube do be shadow banning. We got to fight against the shadow ban.
All to prepare for potential warfare against the Soviets.
Many of us been in the military and had top secret clearances. We know how it works.
We have died for America. We have fought for America.
You are a veteran.
I am United States Air Force veteran.
Dr. Starks, you're a veteran as well.
Yes, I am. I'm an Air Force veteran also.
Is there a sense of betrayal here?
Definitely. Definitely.
They want to know if those secret tests have anything to do with what they're observing with their own eyes.
I lost my 2 older siblings to cancer. I lost a brother last month.
I've been diagnosed recently with a rare form of lymphoma.
I had cancer.
See, I was just asking. I wonder what's happening to them. That also makes me think about those planes dropping them chemtrails as well.
So the left kidney had partial removal of my left kidney.
News Nation reached out to the Army for answers. They provided a 1-page response. It says the Army's own Center for Health Promotion and Preventive Medicine investigated in 1994 and found inhalation exposure would not pose a health risk. They also cite later corroborating reviews, including a 1997 review by the National Research Council. Perhaps they assumed we wouldn't read the NRC's 380-page report, but we did, and the Army's statement doesn't show the full picture. In that 1997 review, the National Research Council explicitly says repeated exposure to zinc cadmium sulfide can cause kidney or bone toxicity or lung cancer if levels are high enough. And they admitted they couldn't fully assess the risk. Why? Because some Army records remain classified, it says, for national security reasons. More troubling, key Army exposure records were missing. And when the NRC asked the Army to supply them, the Army said it couldn't find them.
How convenient. How convenient for the records to be sealed and unable to be found. How convenient, right? Yeah. They're wild, man. We know how this game go. Look, I've read enough and studied enough Black history, African history, world history, European history to understand how this go. Well, how these white people do what they do, right? I understand this, man. I get it, right? Plausible deniability. Hey, man, we don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? Or in this case, yeah, we did some of this stuff, but you want all this information. Man, we don't really got all this information. We ain't really got what you need. But what we do know is, we saw her. Y'all ain't gonna take our apology. That's it. See, Black people are ungrateful if they don't take the apology of the white supremacists for all the decades of bull they was doing. Remember, they're talking about this back in the 50s. Yeah, man, them chemtrails, man. There's a movie. Toxic Skies, I believe that's the name of the movie. Let me look it up real quick. It's supposed to be on YouTube. I got this thing in front of me right now. Let me look it up. It's supposed to be a movie called Toxic Skies, I believe. See if it's still on YouTube. Because I remember, I think Phil Valentine or Bobby Hemmett talking about it back in the days. Let me see. Toxic Skies movie. Yep. It's a movie that came out in 2016 called Toxic Skies. That's a let me put it up here so y'all can see it. Actually, no, I can't because I'm sharing my screen. But yeah, it's a movie. Toxic Skies came out 2016. They talk about the chemtrails and stuff. But you know, let me let them get back into exposing the bull.
Finally, the NRC considered conducting its own study, but concluded it wasn't feasible. In short, it did not test the site, collect samples, or test residents, and they didn't have access to all the data. Their review was based on what the Army gave them, and what the Army either could not find or withheld. The Army ends its statement to News Nation by saying, quote, none of the reports contained evidence of a radioactive component to the zinc cadmium sulfide dispersion tests. Residents say the secrecy and delays are no accident.
They're waiting us out.
They're waiting on all of us to die.
Mm-hmm.
As a therapist myself, I know how important it is to be able to have someone that you can talk to about your problems, to bounce ideas off of.
But that's not even the whole story. Secrecy and delays are no accident.
They're waiting us out.
They're waiting on all of us to die.
But that's not even the whole story, as residents demand to know what else could have been in that spray.
They have not come clean with what was in there.
Do you believe that it was just zinc cadmium sulfide in that spray?
No.
No, it was Negro killing substances in that spray. Negro killing substances in that spray. That's what was in them. That's why they targeted the communities that they targeted and did what they did and exposed all of us to the stuff that we have been exposed to over these years. That's why we have to, in our regular everyday lives, make sure that we are as healthy as we can be. Better be drinking your water.
We go to the source, a researcher who has spent decades declassifying government documents about these tests.
Do you believe the U.S. government sprayed some kind of radioactive material on the residents of St. Louis?
Yes.
I believe that they did.
And the government's surprising response to our request to declassify information.
I mean, what the hell?
Plus, renowned activist Erin Brockovich weighs in.
Do you think there's been a lie here, a cover-up here?
Yes.
Sure looks that way.
The residents are asking for an apology from the government for being experimented on. They are asking for compensation, for health studies for themselves and their children. They're also asking for transparency. They want the government to release all the documents about the spraying. So, Elizabeth, tomorrow night on your show, we will go on a journey to try to declassify the one government document that a key researcher tells us she has never been able to expose. And we take the investigation to Erin Brockovich. For the residents still here, still fighting, the question is whether they will get any answers before it's too late. Elizabeth.
Well, they have a better chance of it with you on the case. Natasha Zuvez, thank you so much. In part one of our News Nation investigation last night, we uncovered a mysterious fog that once drifted through a St. Louis neighborhood, one that residents still remember decades later.
It made some of us have headaches, nausea, dizziness.
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
They're waiting us out.
They're waiting on all of us to die.
The government admits it sprayed a chemical that contained cadmium, a known carcinogen. Critics say without warning and without consent. They sprayed it on a neighborhood of more than 10,000 people, but now years later, residents are getting sick, some with rare forms of cancer, and they're asking what else might be hidden from them. Specifically, what else could have been in that spray? News Nation's Natasha Zuvez picks up the investigation from here.
We're on our way to meet with a researcher right now who has dedicated her career, decades, to declassifying documents and trying to figure out what exactly happened here in the city of St. Louis and what exactly was in that spray.
Across the country, the government conducted secret Cold War experiments.
Some of them still don't get it. Hey, some of them still don't get it, man. They still don't get it. But it's like, I hope we are getting a good understanding, like these lives that I do, all the content that I put out on this channel. I hope you all are getting a good understanding of the picture that we're putting together of what we're dealing with white supremacy, but also how we could best fight white supremacy as well. I mean, of course, we know one of the greatest battles is the internal battle that Black people have with ourselves and each other. But of course, that's a byproduct of white supremacy. But there's also some of that tribalism existed before that, but it was exacerbated, right? But now, you know, in addition to that, being able to understand the mind of the white supremacists, understand the tactics of them to best protect ourselves. If you build it, you must protect it. If you build it, you must protect it. We're dealing with terrorists. We're dealing with people who will destroy the earth for their own glorification, right? So understanding that we're dealing with that, got to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to do as Black people in America, even Black people across the globe, the diaspora. We got to get to the point to where Black people are on the same page and we're doing better. We can protect ourselves better. You're already behind enemy lines. This is what happens when you're behind enemy lines and you're powerless, when you're unprotected, when you're unorganized, when you're not unified, when all you want to do is fight your fellow man, when you're afraid of the people who look like you, when you despise the people who look like you. Of course, we know these are the things that we've been taught, but we have to fight back against the education that we was given, this miseducation rather, this indoctrination that we was given. We have to be able to fight back. If we don't fight back, that means we are giving up. That means we quit. All Black people don't act crazy. So that means that there's enough of us who understand, and we were able to either fight off or reprogram ourselves, or we came from environments where our parents poured into us from the beginning. But you know what I'm saying? We got to start somewhere. We got to do something. Yeah, too many of us are riddled with Stockholm syndrome. We do got to win. We do got to win, but we got to start somewhere. Like, damn, we got to start somewhere. There's a reason why I need to. Right. We are all POWs, prisoners of war, under this collective system of white supremacy behind enemy lines. But yeah.
Experiments in plain sight.
It was so secretive that we're really just now sort of digging out from underneath this to try to understand the scale of it.
And Dr. Lisa Martino Taylor helped uncover many of them.
We know that they were giving radioactive cocktails to pregnant women. We know that they were feeding radioactive oatmeal to children in state schools. They've admitted to those things, and they won't.
Radioactive cocktails to pregnant women, radioactive oatmeal to school children. I'm gonna let us say it again.
It was so secretive that we're really just now sort of digging out from underneath this to try to understand the scale of it.
And Dr. Lisa Martino Taylor helped uncover many of them.
We know that they were giving radioactive cocktails to pregnant women. We know that they were feeding radioactive oatmeal to children in state schools. They've admitted to those things, and they won't release the material related to St. Louis.
It's true.
That's wild. That's diabolical. That's some of the most evil stuff ever. You remember the whole premise is they're using this biological warfare to experiment on Black and poor people, and the experiment is being used so they can see how they can use it against the Soviet Union in the Cold War. But they're like radioactive and biologically laced poisonous oatmeal and formula and stuff for the mothers. Like, this nation is sick, diabolical, monstrous. Like, that's on some Vlad the Impaler, I eat your chest stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, it is just another day for them. It's just another day for them. They don't mind just eating your chest out and eating your guts and eating your heart and eating your brain out. Hey, let's just give the kids radioactive oatmeal, because we don't need them anyway. All right. We have to learn our history and learn our enemies, man. This is wild.
American children in state-run institutions like the Fernald School were fed radioactive oatmeal as part of studies by MIT sponsored by the Atomic Energy Commission. You can see some of the documents Dr. Martino Taylor worked to gather and declassify on MIT letterhead describing experiments on human subjects. The children, some of them orphans, were told they'd be joining a science club. They were promised a quart of milk a day, a trip to a baseball game, to the beach. A copy of the 1994 congressional hearing shows those children, now grown, describing being told the oatmeal was just vitamins and recalling the health problems that followed: lumps on my arms, my stomach. Pregnant women were also unknowingly given radioactive iron at top hospitals in Tennessee and California to study how radiation crossed the placenta, some later reporting miscarriages, illness, or birth defects. A class action lawsuit resulted in a settlement in the 90s.
Do you believe the U.S. government sprayed some kind of radioactive material on the residents of St. Louis?
I believe that
Yeah.
they did. There's so much contextual evidence that points that way. And I spent years looking at this.
She says her research reveals the men who designed and oversaw the St. Louis experiments were some of the top experts in radioactive weapons.
We know that the people who designed the study, who oversaw the study, these were all the radiological weapons experts who were looking at open air radiological weapons.
One of them, Brigadier General William Creasy, was head of the Army Chemical Corps, the very branch leading America's secret radiological weapons program during the Cold War. He brought in a scientist named Philip Layton, who was the Army's leading authority on using radioactive particles in aerosol form, fog-like clouds designed to drift over enemy terrain.
So the very man who designed this spraying experiment in St. Louis was an expert in using radioactive fog against the enemy.
Biological warfare. Why not take out a group of people that you brought them over here to be labeled, and you don't really need them like that no more. Like, not the most of them, the bulk of them, you don't really need them like that no more. You got ones trying to fight back against the system of white supremacy. You got ones who don't care. You got ones who will destroy the mother cell. I mean, most black people ain't useful to the system of white supremacy like they were back in the day. So why not just go ahead and find different ways to take them out? And I mean, we ain't gonna be blatant about it like we was back in the days. Covert, systematic racism. It's not gonna be in your face, but it's in your face. You just don't know what you're looking at. So, quote unquote experiment on black people, then say we're using other places. Hey, if you're at war, that's how they do. But if you're seen as a group of people who are less than human, a group of people who, hey, if you don't exist, the planet to be better. That's how they see us. They see us as inferior beings who shouldn't really be existing like the way we exist. So the question is, black folk, what we gonna do about it? The hell we gonna do about it?
Yes, he was the expert, the expert.
Thinking of getting a contour pillow? You'll regret it if you don't see this first. So I almost made the dumbest mistake of my life.
Then she says there's the timing.
They were looking for a city to test their offensive weapons program. They wanted to do it. They expressed this in documents. St. Louis was their chosen city. That was their analog city to Moscow. And they wanted to do this in 1953. And they showed up in 1953 in St. Louis.
But there's one document Dr. Martino Taylor has never been able to unearth. It's still classified. The Joint Quarterly Reports detail the spraying experiments, all written by Layton himself. The last one is missing. It's called Joint Quarterly Report 5, and we tried to get it. Our team filed a Freedom of Information Act request on May 5th of 2025. By law, the government must respond to a FOIA within 20 working days, but it's been more than 3 months with multiple follow-ups. Nothing. The silence is what's called a constructive denial, and
Yeah, I've been telling people about Canada for a while. Canada don't like black folk. They'll do the same thing. Same white folk, man. Same white folk. Look at the history of Canada. Same white folk.
Renowned activist Erin Brockovich says it reminds her of cases where the truth was hidden.
So, Erin, what is your reaction to this News Nation investigation? Did this shock even you?
Absolutely. I think my comment was, are we WTF the kidding me? I mean, what the hell? It's awful. I mean, the biggest thing, and I
mean, white lady, whatever, man. Do your research, do your history. It's not new to this. Things like this happening to black people is not new in America. It's just the latest installment in things that we're learning about what happened to black people in America via the government and their biological warfare against us. You know, but of course, you know, you never really had to give a damn about what happened to black folks. So of course it'll be a WTF moment for you, but you know, just a, like Nemesis said, for them, for the white folk, for the white supremacists, it's just another day at the office. But for us, it's another log on the fire for us to understand who we dealing with.
I've learned in 30 years is it's always the cover up that enrages people, that hurts people. And I've learned that communities can handle the truth. What they don't handle and where they'll tip a scale is the lie. So this has been a cover up, and I think that modern day agencies owe it to them, the truth.
Do you think there's been a lie here, a cover up here?
It sure looks that way.
Our investigation now drawing attention from lawmakers, including Congressman Wesley Bell of Missouri.
When American citizens have been impacted and exposed to chemicals specifically because of the federal government, I think that we should do, as Democrats and Republicans, we should all do the right thing, make certain to make these folks whole again, get them the compensation they deserve and the treatment that they need and also deserve.
It can happen to you. Don't get duped that it can't happen to you. We didn't think it was going to happen to us. We was babies, kids. It can happen to you too.
Representative Bell is now fighting to get Pruitt-Igoe included in the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act that would provide payouts to Americans who can prove they were exposed to radiation during the Cold War. But for Pruitt-Igoe residents, there's a catch. Because key records remain classified, they haven't been able to prove what they were exposed to.
What do you want everyone to know about what happened here?
The truth. Whatever the truth is, we want to know the truth. I don't think we get that now.
In the meantime, residents say all they can do is wait, hoping someone finally listens.
When will you give up this fight?
Never. Till I'm cold and dead and buried in my grave.
Straight up.
And Elizabeth, we asked the Army point blank, was there a radioactive component to that spray? It's interesting that they didn't just say no. Rather, they said, quote, none of the reports contained evidence of a radioactive component, pointing us to reports like a review by the National Research Council. But Elizabeth, a close read of that report shows even the NRC admitted they could not fully assess the risk of the spraying, because when they asked the Army for key records, the Army replied the documents were either classified or they were missing. The Army could not find them. And Elizabeth, I have to tell you, these residents feel the government is waiting them out. The people you just heard from last night and tonight are the ones who are still here, who are well enough to speak. One woman we were supposed to meet with died before we could get to her. She was suffering from multiple cancers. Her daughter asked us to keep going, and we will keep pushing for information, including those classified documents, Elizabeth.
All right, Natasha Zuba, stay on the case. Thank you so much for that investigation.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below.
That's wild, man. That's who we dealing with, though, man. That's who we are dealing with. Don't make no mistakes. Don't get it twisted. Don't think we have friends out here in these streets out here in this world, man. You know, Dr. Clark has been telling us for a minute. Well, you know, that classic clip that he has. We have no friends. You want a friend? Damn it, look in the mirror. But we have to even look at ourselves, though, because we haven't been great to ourselves. So we're not even friends to ourselves. So we got to fix that component, right? But the system of white supremacy is real, and it's affecting us in all areas of human activity. And it's up to us to recognize what's going on, to be able to fight back and win. I got you, Nemesis. We're going to fight back and win. We need some W's. Patrick said all the time, we need some W's. We need some real W's. If we keep glorifying losses, we need some W's, all right? So make sure y'all go to BruceStroubleJr.com to support Dr. Bruce Stroble. Thank you for, once again, my brother, thank you for being the guest on the podcast. By Any Dreams Necessary is the book. Anti-Racism Strategies for Sustainability, Resilience, and Environmental Justice in African-American Communities. If we don't protect and take care of ourselves, nobody else will. Our future depends on us. Our health depends on us. Our livelihood depends on us. Our sustainability depends on us. The quality of our lives, the quality of our health depends on us, because as you can see, nobody else really gives a damn. And nobody else has to give a damn, because it's not their obligation. It is our obligation to make sure that we take care of ourselves properly. So we got to get to doing that. So I want to give a big shout out to Me Kim. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you, Me Kim, for supporting me. Once again, shout out to DSB for becoming a new member. Once I find out how to make sure other people can get these memberships, I'm going to get these memberships. He's gifted 6 memberships. So DSB has gifted 6 memberships. As soon as I find out how to get these, y'all make sure y'all get y'all some memberships and become a member of this channel. BruceStroubleJr.com is the website. Make sure you check it out to support the brother. You know, OnTheShoulders1.com is the website, is my website. I'm getting scatterbrained. OnTheShoulders1.com is my website. You see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for supporting. Make sure you go check out the copies of my book. 4 books, On the Shoulders of Giants, volumes 1 through 4. Volume 1 covers Sung and Unsung Heroes of North America. Volume 2 is Central America. Volume 3 is South America. Volume 4 is the Caribbean. So, and I'm working on, right now, I'm working on my children's book. I'm putting out a children's book. And I'm working on volume 5, which will be Europe. I'm covering Sung and Unsung Heroes coming out of Europe. You know, the main base of this channel is to make sure that I continue to give this Black history that I have. But I am going to be making some tweaks to some of my videos and things, because I think my Wednesday historical video needed a little tweak. So I'm going to be doing that, a little tweaking to that. I want to give a big shout out to Monique Webster for buying copies of my book. Your copies will be there very soon, as well as A Common Language for supporting the channel and getting your copies of the book. Your copy will be there soon as well. Thank you to everybody in the comments. You already know how we do. Start with Nemesis X. I appreciate you, my brother. Ricardo Float, thank you, thank you, thank you. Affirm, Create, Enjoy, thank you for tuning in, for commenting as well. Ed, my dog E-double-D, I appreciate you, man. You're a real one. Michael Lords, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. DSB, you already know, my brother. Thank you and welcome to the family. Who's Left Entertainment, thank you. Peace, love, and light to you as well. I'm gonna say your name right this time. Raw, Idle, Vital, Vegetarian. Raw, Idle, Vital, Vegetarian. I'm saying your name right this time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. Fair use. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Look, man, we're gonna support the people who are here in our community who are doing real things. Let's keep that going on. Let's stop supporting fake stuff, and let's keep doing what we do. Now, I appreciate y'all for coming up here and making this space what it is. You know, I have these ideas in my head, and I try to get them out. And I thank you all for supporting what I do. Please continue to support Patrick Irvin. The link is in the description to support Patrick. Please continue to support Professor Carlton Jones. The link is in the link is in the description to support PC. Support Bruce Strouble Jr. as well. And let's do what we do next week. Next Saturday, I'm interviewing Miss Kristen, and Miss Kristen has the Footprints Homeschool Cooperative in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we are going to be interviewing her to talk about that and learn what they are doing with the kids. Because once again, we're highlighting people who actually doing real stuff, boots on the ground in our community, who get overlooked. So I'm opening up my interview space. So if y'all know some people where y'all at, or just people around the world who are doing amazing things and you think they need some love, holla at me, because they're going to get some love on here, man. I love you all. Make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and share. I love you all. Make sure you continue being your best self. And I'll see y'all on the other side. Peace out. Enjoy your